When I refused to be my sister's lackey, my mom hurled a dish at me. I'm not one to share personal stories, but this one still feels surreal, so here it is. When I finally stood up to being my sister's errand boy, my mother threw a plate at my face. That night, I left for good, and now they're pleading for me to come back. I was the one holding the household together while my sister, Isabella, was treated like royalty. For years, I endured it, but things escalated in ways I never saw coming. When I stopped playing the role of the family's servant, everything flipped upside down. I'm 24 now, but this happened when I was 22. To understand how it all unfolded, let me take you back a bit. Picture a dysfunctional sitcom, minus the humor, just endless nagging, guilt trips, and me running around like an unpaid assistant. That was my childhood. I have one sister, Isabella, who's 2 years younger than me, 20 at the time. She was raised like she was the world's greatest treasure, spoiled beyond reason. If she coughed, Mom Claudia would rush for tissues, Dad Victor would call it adorable, and I'd be the one tossing the used tissues out. Meanwhile, I could ace exams or win a competition, and the response, "That's nice, now take out the garbage." I was the family's default fixer, mowing the lawn, carrying groceries, moving furniture, driving Isabella to her friends' houses because she didn't feel like walking. It wasn't just that I was expected to do these things, it felt like my entire existence revolved around them. Isabella could stand there, watching me struggle with heavy bags of soil, acting like she was my boss. Claudia loved it. She'd see me juggling a dozen grocery bags and yell, "Careful, don't break the eggs, your sister hates scrambled eggs." Victor, he stayed quiet, doing whatever kept the peace, which usually meant I was the one breaking my back while Isabella scrolled on her phone. It wasn't just chores, though. The favoritism was so blatant it was embarrassing, even at school. My good grades, Victor barely glanced up from his newspaper. Claudia would say, "That's expected, you're smart." Translation, no one cares. But if Isabella scraped by with a D in math, you'd think she'd won a Nobel Prize, ice cream trips, social media posts, and hugs all around. "We're so proud of you, honey, you're trying your best." She didn't even bother bringing her homework home sometimes. The worst part wasn't the tasks, it was how they praised her for doing nothing. Once she vacuumed half the living room and left the cord in a mess. Claudia walked in and gushed, "Look how responsible she is." Meanwhile, I was outside fixing a broken sprinkler because Victor said, "You're strong, handle it." No thanks, no recognition, just the assumption I'd do it. By 20, I felt like a live-in worker. I juggled a part-time job at a hardware store in college, but home meant a never-ending to-do list. Isabella was always too stressed to help. Stressed from what? Posting selfies online. I saved up and bought a beat-up 2003 Peugeot with my own money. Within weeks, Isabella demanded rides everywhere, even if I had work or plans. If I said no, she'd whine to Claudia, who'd lecture me. "Why are you so selfish? She's your sister, family helps family." Funny, no one ever asked her to help me. Victor stayed out of it unless things got heated, then he'd side with Claudia. "Just do it, son, it's not worth the fight." His mantra was keeping Isabella happy, like it was a critical mission and I was the grunt assigned to it. Growing up, I felt like a side character in a play starring Isabella. She got all the applause while I was backstage, hauling props and cleaning up. By college, I thought I'd escape. I had scholarships and a shot at building something for myself. But every break, they'd reel me back in, piling on tasks. It built resentment, like I wasn't just carrying groceries but their entire circus. If I spoke up, Claudia called me ungrateful. "We've given you everything, how dare you complain?" Everything. "You gave me chores and a front row seat to Isabella's spotlight." I wasn't their son, I was their packhorse. Isabella wasn't just the golden child, she was untouchable. Claudia defended her no matter what, Victor stayed silent, and I took the blame. But you can only push someone so far before they push back. At 22, I wasn't the kid who quietly drove Isabella to the mall anymore. I'd learned to play smarter, not just a packhorse, but one with a strategy. Growing up in a house where you're always expected to bow teaches you to read people's moves. I knew Isabella would pull something eventually, and Claudia would back her up without question while Victor pretended nothing was wrong. So when it all blew up at dinner, I wasn't shocked, just stunned at how far they took it. It was just the four of us that night, no guests, just family. Claudia had made a big spread, pasta, salad, garlic bread. I sat down, bracing for the usual drama. Isabella was across from me, glued to her phone like she was royalty. Victor muttered about hotel bookings, and Claudia fussed over napkins like it was a Michelin star event. For 7 minutes it was normal chewing, small talk, forks clinking. Then Isabella dropped her fork. It wasn't dramatic, just a slip, landing by her chair. She didn't move. She just stared at me and said, "Pick it up." I laughed, thinking she was joking. But her face was stone-cold serious, chin tilted like a cartoon villain. "Pick it up," she repeated. I leaned back, fork in hand, pasta halfway to my mouth. She's got 2 hands. Gravity works on her the same as me. She can pick it up herself. Claudia's head snapped up like I'd insulted her personally. "You heard your sister. Don't be difficult." I pointed at the fork. "It's right there. It's not in a ditch. She's not helpless." Claudia slammed her hand on the table. "Don't start tonight. Just do it." Victor cleared his throat but said nothing, just gave me his patented disappointed dad look. Isabella smirked, that smug lip twist she'd mastered since middle school. "Wow, you think you're too good to help your family? Servants know their place." That word, servant, hit like a switch. Not anger or sadness, just a cold realization. She wasn't joking. That's how she saw me, not her brother but her lackey. I set my fork down. The clink echoed, freezing the table. "I'm not your servant," I said, calm and flat, leaving no room for doubt. Claudia's voice rose. "Stop embarrassing us. You sound so ungrateful. Your sister's had a tough day. The least you can do is help." I glanced at Isabella, lounging like she was at a show. Tough day doing what? Scrolling social media. Sounds exhausting. That's when Claudia lost it. She grabbed her plate and hurled it at me, no hesitation, just pure rage. It smashed into my cheek, and for a moment I felt nothing but shock. Lettuce and dressing splattered everywhere. Then the sting hit, sharp and burning, blood trickling down my face. I stood, hand on my cheek, staring at her. Claudia was on her feet, chest heaving, eyes blazing like I'd betrayed the family. Victor pushed his chair back but didn't move, just sat there, stunned. Isabella didn't flinch, just leaned forward, smirking. "Told you," she said. "Servants don't talk back." I didn't yell or curse. I just turned and walked out, the scrape of my chair on the tile my only response. Upstairs, I locked my door and exhaled. My cheek throbbed, blood mixed with dressing. I grabbed my phone, opened the camera, and started snapping pictures. The cuts, the swelling, the food stuck to my shirt. Each click solidified it, evidence. No arguments, no shouting matches, just cold, hard proof. Sitting there, wiping my face with a towel, I knew this wasn't just about a fork. It was years of being treated as less than, invisible unless someone needed something. Tonight was the breaking point, the culmination of every time I let them treat me like a servant. But that was over. The packhorse with a plan had his first piece of proof. After dinner, the house got weirdly quiet. Claudia acted like she hadn't just thrown a plate at me, like it was a normal evening. Victor buried himself in his laptop, as if his work emails were life or death. Isabella pranced around with that smirk, like she'd finally won. But freedom, once you taste it, doesn't let go. I wasn't going to let them reset things like nothing happened. I started paying closer attention, collecting evidence, staying quiet when needed, and sharpening my responses. A few days later, I was in the driveway, working on my car, hood up, grease on my hands, sun warming my back. It was one of those peaceful moments. Then Isabella strutted out, phone in hand, like she owned the place. "You know," she said, leaning against my car, "no matter what you think, you'll always be my little lackey. That's all you are." I wiped my hands on a rag and looked at her. Part of me wanted to laugh, part wanted to tell her off. Instead, I leaned against the car, smirked, and said, "Funny, I don't recall lackeys keeping this house from collapsing. Without me, your whole show falls apart." Her smirk flickered for a second. Then she leaned closer, like she was ready for a fight. "Don't talk back. Everyone knows you're just jealous because Claudia and Victor love me more." I tilted my head. "Congrats, you're the champion of doing nothing." Quite a title. That's when she pulled her classic move. She stepped back, flung her phone to the ground for effect, and screamed, "He hit me, he pushed me." I froze, not out of guilt, but because I knew what was coming. Claudia and Victor stormed out of the house like they'd been waiting for their cue. Claudia's eyes widened at Isabella's fake tears, clutching her like she'd survived a war. "What did you do to her?" she snapped at me. "How dare you touch your sister?" Victor piled on. "You're a disgrace, son, hurting your sister. What's wrong with you?" I stood there, hands greasy, staring at them like I was in a bad reality show. I hadn't touched her, hadn't even been close. But in their eyes, her word was gospel. Then came the lifeline. Mr. Henrik Dahl, our neighbor, a retired Navy guy with zero tolerance for nonsense, walked up with his dog. He'd seen everything from across the street. He stopped at our driveway, adjusted his cap, and said, "That boy didn't touch her. I saw the whole thing. She's lying through her teeth." Silence, total silence. Claudia's jaw dropped. Victor mumbled about a misunderstanding, but Mr. Dahl cut him off. "Don't even try. I've watched this nonsense for years. You treat him like garbage while that girl acts like she rules the world. You should be ashamed." Isabella's fake tears stopped cold. She stood there, caught, eyes darting like she might melt into the ground. Claudia muttered about family matters. Mr. Dahl shook his head. "This isn't family, it's bullying and everyone sees it." Then he walked off, leaving his words hanging like a grenade. I nearly laughed out loud. For the first time, someone outside the family called it what it was. And my parents had no comeback. They just stood there, like their world had been upended. That night in my room, I kept replaying it. Mr. Dahl didn't just call them out. He validated me. I wasn't crazy, it wasn't in my head. Others saw it too. While digging through old boxes in my closet, I found something else that hit hard. Letters from my grandfather, Victor's dad. I'd skimmed them before, but this time I read closely. One line stuck. "Don't let anyone make you their beast of burden, son. A man builds his own life. Carrying everyone else will only break you." I read it over and over. That's exactly what I'd been doing, carrying their weight, their drama, their mess, for nothing. That's when my plan solidified. I wasn't just dreaming of leaving, I was doing it. I started small. Opened a secret bank account, saved every penny from side gigs, and snuck into Victor's office at night to copy my birth certificate and social security card. Each step felt like breaking a chain. I reached out to Mr. Matteo Rossi, a family friend I respected, tough but fair, no nonsense. I told him everything and he didn't brush me off. "About time you broke free," he said. "You've got a brain, kid, use it. Don't let them guilt you into wasting your 20s. He was right, and it hit deep. I wasn't just planning anymore, I was halfway out the door. To them, I was still the dutiful son, the fix-it guy who did what was asked. So I played the part, fixed the sink, hauled groceries, nodded at Claudia's orders, smirked at Isabella's power trips. On the outside, I was their packhorse. Inside, I was counting down to freedom, but playing the game has risks. Isabella was nosy, always poking through my stuff when she was bored. I should have seen it coming. One afternoon, I was in the bathroom shaving when I heard her door slam, then mine. My stomach dropped. She was in my room. I walked in just as she was rifling through my decoy duffel bag, planted weeks earlier with gym clothes, old sneakers, and fake job applications for local spots. It was a trap and she fell for it. Her eyes lit up when she found the papers. "Oh my God, Claudia, Victor, come here," she yelled. I leaned against the doorframe, towel over my shoulder, acting bored. "Find something good." Claudia rushed in, dish towel in hand, Victor trailing with a frown. Isabella shoved the papers at them. "Look, he's planning to leave." Claudia's face twisted like she'd caught a thief. "Is this true? Are you sneaking around?" I shrugged. "What? That's Jim's stuff. Figured I'd hit the weights more." Victor scanned the resumes like they were top-secret files. "These are job applications." "Yeah," I said casually, "for local places. Can't live here forever, right?" That hit a nerve with Claudia. She started pacing, muttering about loyalty and family duty. Isabella was practically vibrating, waiting for me to get in trouble, but I just stood there, arms crossed, watching them unravel. Finally, I said, "Relax, it's called planning. You want me to mooch forever. You complain when I don't pitch in, then complain when I try to move forward. Pick a lane." Victor sighed, his classic, "I don't want to deal with this move." "Fine, but no secrets. If you're job hunting, tell us." "Crystal," I said, hiding a grin. They left, Isabella trailing, annoyed her big reveal flopped. I zipped up the duffel, tossed it aside, and sat on my bed, smiling inside. They had no clue the real stuff. Bank info, copid ids, bus schedules, was hidden in a shoebox under the floorboard. I'd outplayed them. They thought they were in control, but I was running two games. The one they saw and the one they didn't. Still, the close call reminded me I was on thin ice. If they caught on, they'd clamp down harder. So I got sharper, treating every move like chess. Some might wonder, You're 22, why not just leave? Sure, I could have walked out, but with no money, no papers, no job. That's a one-way ticket to crawling back, and I wasn't giving them that win. They'd spin it like I was unstable. My plan wasn't just to leave, it was to cut every string they had on me, clean and permanent. Every dollar saved, every document copied, every step was about breaking free for good. When Claudia sent me on errands, I used the trips to hit the library, send real applications, check emails on public computers. When Victor had me move attic boxes, I stashed cash where no one would look. When Isabella mocked me for living at home, I smiled, knowing I was almost gone. But the tension was building. Dinners felt like interrogations. Claudia's stares grew sharper, like she was waiting for a slip. Isabella kept poking, trying to rile me up so she could play victim again. My heart raced, not from fear but from the stakes. If they found my real plan, they'd lock me down tighter than ever. The risk wasn't failing, it was being caught too soon. But I was razor-focused. One night, while everyone slept, I pulled out my notebook and listed my moves. Bus to downtown, train to Seattle, confirm job lead with Mr. Rossi, pack only essentials. 2 duffels were already stashed under my car's seat. Every step was calculated. I looked at the list, my cheeks still sore from the plate, and smiled. They thought I was trapped. They thought they owned me. They were wrong. Crazy people don't let go easily, though. When they sense you pulling away, they dig in harder. That's what my family did. It was after dinner, the house quiet except for the ceiling fan's hum. I just cleared my plate when Claudia's voice cut through. Family meeting. Now. Her tone left no room for debate. The same one she used when Isabella got caught stealing beer at 17 or when I skipped mowing the lawn. I sat at the table, Victor and Isabella already there like it was a courtroom. Claudia stood at the head, judge and jury rolled into one. I leaned back, arms crossed, ready for the show. Your attitude is unacceptable, Claudia started. You've been distant, defiant, and ungrateful. After all we've done, this is how you repay us. I tilted my head. Repay you, or repay the years I've been your errand boy, her eyes narrowed. Victor chimed in. This family works when everyone knows their role. You're disrupting that. Translation, I said, smirking. I'm not playing butler while I nodded at Isabella, plays princess. Isabella gasped like I'd insulted her crown. You're pathetic, you'll always be the help, that's your place. I didn't raise my voice. I just pulled out my phone and slid it across the table, the screen showing my cheek cuts, swelling blood from the plate. Funny, I said calmly. Where I'm from, the help doesn't get attacked for not picking up a fork. That's not discipline, that's abuse. The room went quiet. Claudia's face paled, then flushed. Victor's jaw tightened. Isabella's smirk vanished. Delete that, Claudia snapped, voice shaking. You're twisting things, you provoked me. I laughed, short and sharp. Right, my face provoked a flying plate. That's when Victor snapped. He slammed his water glass down and threw it at me. Time slowed, the glass spun, water trailing like a movie effect. It hit the table's edge, shattering, shards flying. Some nicked my arm, stinging. But here's the twist. Some bounced back, cutting Victor's hand and Isabella's leg. The mighty rulers looked like fools, caught in their own mess. I stood slowly, brushing glass off my clothes. No more moves, I said calmly. You just proved my point. You're not just toxic, you're dangerous. Claudia flailed, hands waving. It was an accident, he didn't mean. I held up my phone, already snapping photos of the shards, the cuts, the chaos. Doesn't matter. This isn't family drama anymore, it's evidence. Isabella was silent, no smirk, just wide-eyed fear. They realized the game had shifted. I grabbed my bag from under the chair, slung it over my shoulder, and looked each of them in the eye. You thought you could keep me caged forever, but you just gave me every reason to make it official. Claudia's voice cracked. What do you mean? I said, stepping toward the door, I'm pressing charges. You think I'll let you keep throwing things at me until it's worse? No, this ends now. Victor moved like he'd stop me, but my phone in hand froze him. They knew the power had flipped. I walked out like I owned the place. Their voices, panic, anger, fake pleas faded behind me. I didn't stop. The plan wasn't just to slip away, it was to burn the bridge so they couldn't drag me back. Nothing burns a bridge faster than the truth, backed by undeniable proof. I didn't sleep that night, but my mind wasn't racing. It was clear, like a fog had lifted. Every bruise, shard, and photo was more than evidence, it was fuel. By morning, my duffel was in the trunk, my papers in a folder, my exit timed to the minute. I didn't leave a note or say goodbye. I walked out with the same calm I'd held since the glass shattered. First stop, the police station. Walking in with a bandaged cheek and fresh cuts got attention fast. I asked for an officer, set my phone on the desk, and let the photos speak. Plate cuts, bruises, glass-strewn floor. The cop swiped through, brow furrowing. "You're saying both parents did this?" "Yep," I said. "Claudia with the plate, Victor with the glass. I've got timestamps, 2 neighbors who saw parts, and a phone full of proof. What's that look like?" He didn't argue or dismiss me. He nodded and typed. "Looks like assault." Hearing it named lifted a weight. It wasn't drama or discipline. It was assault, plain and simple. They filed the report, gave me copies, and said they'd follow up with Mr. Dahl's statement. The narrative I'd been trapped in for years flipped. A few weeks later, the charges were filed, and the dominoes fell. That afternoon, I went to Mr. Rossi's house. He'd kept a spare room open and told me to stay as long as needed. Over coffee at his kitchen table, he gave me that stern, approving nod. "Told you it'd come to this," he said. "Don't waste this chance, build your life." So I did. I stayed with him, helping around the house while lining up a job. 3 weeks later, I took a bus to the station, bought an Amtrak ticket to Seattle, and watched the miles roll by, leaving not just a house but a cage behind. Within 3 weeks, I landed a job, not glamorous but mine. College was on hold. Rebuilding my life took priority. I went from a friend's couch to a tiny studio with creaky floors and a view of a brick wall. But it was my wall, my food, my rules. Every time I dropped a fork and picked it up myself, I chuckled, small but symbolic. My choice. Back home, the fallout hit hard. Claudia and Victor didn't expect the police to take it seriously, but they did. Assault charges, not felonies but enough to stain their records, set the neighborhood buzzing. Claudia, once the queen of block parties, became the mom who threw a plate at her son. Invitations dried up, her friends stopped calling. Victor's resort job took a hit. Reputation is everything in that world. Family troubles cost him big accounts, and he was demoted to a cubicle with peeling wallpaper, his pride in tatters. Isabella lost her biggest weapon, me. With Mr. Dahl's testimony and the police backing me, her lies fell apart. Without me to do her bidding, she had to work like everyone else, serving coffee and posting melodramatic captions about the grind. Reality hit her like a scalding latte. I didn't gloat publicly, but watching them crumble from afar felt like justice, not revenge, but the world seeing them for what they were. I wasn't their packhorse, scapegoat, or servant anymore. I was just a guy, free and living. Every paycheck I earned, every step I took was mine. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.